Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Hello, podcast fans. Adam Carolla here. I'm leading the fight against patent trolls who are threatening this medium. It's not about me. It's about the podcast you're listening to right now. If I go down, this show could be next. Visit fundanything.com/patent troll for more information on how you can keep podcasting alive. Thank you and mahalo.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game change.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man.
Hello. Hey guys, it's me, Jay. This episode is just going to be me by myself. I'm very excited about it. I got a lot to tell you guys. It's not that I couldn't find a guest. It's just that a lot of times I get emails from you at jmohr.com and you guys ask me, hey, how come you never talk about Pay It Forward? How come you never talk about more Saturday Night Live stuff? How come you never, you guys have a lot of questions about why I'm not talking about stuff. And the answer is, honestly, because I have a guest sitting right across from me, and I think it'd be kind of rude if you got a guy sitting or a gal sitting right across from you, and you're like, yeah, cool story and all. Let me tell you about what happened to me when I did this movie. I am right now in a car service. I'm fancy. I'm in Florida, and I'm driving to West Palm Beach to do my stand-up. I got a cool driver. His name is Stefan. He's from Serbia. And I believe him. It's pretty amazing. Unemployment in this country is at like 13%, yet everybody from like Jordan and Serbia, they can just get off the airplane and drive comics to comedy clubs. I got 5 uncles, 2 of them don't have jobs, but hey man, as long as this guy of borderline Montenegro, it's okay. Whatever, man, as long as somebody's working. I'm staying in a great hotel. It's amazing when you do comedy. And by the way, real quick, I'm going to be at the San Antonio Empire Theater coming back. First one was so great. Couldn't wait to book it again. San Antonio's been a great stand-up city. That's November 8th. November 13, 14, and 15, I'm at Stand Up Live in Arizona. If you really want to help me, at least I'm honest. Comics, we make more money on the off nights. Sunday is the 15th. If you want to have like a Mohr party, let's pile into that show on the 15th, the Sunday night show. El Paso, never played there before, driven by it a lot on that 10 freeway. I'm excited about going to the comic strip November 6th and 7th, San Antonio Empire Theater November 8th, Stand Up Live in Arizona November 13, 14, and 15. All tickets, always, really, every single time. You can get tickets at jmohr.com. You can email me at jmohr.com. Normally right now on the podcast is when I would read an Amazon read from somebody, but I don't have my computer with me because I'm in a car. So I won't. Instead, I'll just say use the Amazon banner at jmohr.com, and you could really help me out. It's amazing, comics. We complain. We're really good complainers, and there's really nothing to complain about. Like West Palm Beach, ticket sales are really slow. In Florida, Tampa, I did a theater, sold out. Like 1,500 seats, completely sold out. 2 nights later, I was at the Orlando Improv on a Monday, sold out. Then Hollywood, Florida, I did a gig in 2 shows, and they were real full. And then West Palm Beach, they had to cancel the second show Friday. So there was only 1 show Friday, and that was like half full. Half full after they folded 2 shows in on one another. So notice I said half full because I'm an optimist. They say a pessimist says half empty. The glass is half empty. An optimist says the glass is half full. Maybe we should all be realists and say, you have too much glass, bro. When you stay in a hotel, it's amazing the stupid things you complain about. You're like, my Wi-Fi's out. Could somebody come to my room and fix my Wi-Fi? That actually always is pretty funny because they'll always tell you, yeah, we'll send somebody up from engineering right away. And you're expecting like a handsome 20-something Pakistani man, some IT whiz, to come to your room. And then the door knocks like 45 minutes later. It's like a big fat white guy holding a plunger, and he's wearing a blue jumpsuit. And in magic marker, it says Earl across the chest. You're like, wow, yeah. Did you try turning it off and on? No, never dawned on me. But I don't think off and on fixes Wi-Fi, Earl. But I appreciate your time. How about when you stay in a hotel, you try to get in touch with one of your buddies? You ever call a hotel? And you're like, hey, I'm looking at a friend of mine, Kevin Chapman. And they go, is he a guest at the hotel? And you want to say to the lady, no, actually, I think he's just driving by. I think he's just out on the road driving around. I was wondering if you could hop over the desk, maybe start flagging down cars. He's either in a motorcycle, a car, sedan, or a van, or an 18-wheeler. So just run out in traffic. Or if you call somebody's room, they let it ring like 40 times. Then they come back on the phone. They go, he doesn't seem to be in his room. Really? Well, you know what? My friend's a gimp. He might be in his box with a ball gag. It might take him a really long time to get to the phone. Could you let it ring 40 more times? I swam in the ocean today, so I'm very happy. And I saw something today that was a little alarming. I was walking across the street in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. A lady drove by, and her dress was stuck in the car door. I never understand how that happens to you ladies. I mean, I don't know how you don't know you're driving with your clothing outside of the car. I can't drive if my floor mats are crooked. Your dress is actually outside your car next to it. It doesn't that... How do you not notice that? Don't you think to yourself, wow, the car's really pulling to the left? Your face is up against the window. Left side of your vagina is in your shoe. I would just think you guys would kind of figure that out. But you don't. I see it every day. I see ladies driving around with their clothing outside of their car. Maybe your dresses are too big. Maybe if we're going back to the glass half empty, maybe your dress is way too full. Like 5 times too full. If you can close the door on your clothing, then your clothing is really, it's just not fitting you at all. Like, at all. I saw a cool couple walking 2 Dobermans today. And they were like, you know that, like, gross couple in your neighborhood? The one, like, when you drive, you know right now, everyone listening has that one gross couple they know about, like matching sweatsuits, fanny packs, ankle weights. They're walking like matching Yorkies, green visors, and as you drive by, you have to say to your wife, no, don't beep, please don't beep, don't beep. I saw a couple like that today, and I admired them. And I hope when I'm old with my beautiful wife, Nicole Avery Cox Mohr, I hope that I don't give a flying fuck about life as much that I can wear a matching sweatsuit as my wife and put on some ankle weights and just walk like a Maltese, like a boss with my fanny pack with all treats in it. Oh, by the way, it's amazing when you have kids, and I got a 3-year-old at home, if you ever take like a 3-year-old to the park or anywhere, and somebody will come up to you and say, wow, your baby's so cute, there's like a really weird pause where they just stare at you, and you wonder why. I wonder why this person's looking at me so long. It's because they want you to ask them if they have kids. And then you go, oh, do you have kids? And they go, no, but I have 3 yellow labs, so believe me, I know how crazy it gets. And I'm like, yeah, you know exactly what it's like. It's the exact same thing. Yeah, you have 3 dogs. Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started on my Labradoodle, Popeye. She is a diva. she's a diva. She won't eat dry food. You know, you eat a steak, she just stares at you the whole time, and eventually you have to cave in. You have to give her some of your steak. Popeye is crazy. And you want to say to that person, yeah, it's the same thing. Your dogs and my human being child baby, exact same thing, really. Because, you know, the other day, I was in my yard, and I wanted to talk to my neighbor with my hands free, so I just tied my 8-month-old daughter, Mia, to a fence so I could talk with my hands free. And I was sitting on the couch, and my daughter, my little baby daughter, she doesn't like dry food either, and she wanted my steak. And I was sitting on the couch, and she stared at me. She kind of waddled over, crawled, and then put herself up, like with her little baby arms, and just stared at me for steak. And I kind of like kicked her away with my foot. Not hard, just like where the shoulder meets the neck. I just kind of pushed my baby away, like, get away from me. It's my steak. So yeah, the fact that you have a Lhasa Apso named Popeye, exact same thing as having kids. Ugh. I'm glad I have boys. Because boys are easier. You can lie to boys. Boy, I think you can. I mean, maybe they know I'm lying, but I don't think so. Because my boys will come downstairs and they'll say, like, Daddy, can we watch TV? And you go, we don't have a TV. And they go, oh, okay. And they'll just walk back upstairs like dummies. I'm watching TV as I tell them we don't have TV. And they just buy it. It's great. Can't do that with a little girl. I don't think. I hope I know in the future. A little girl would say, first of all, I know we have a TV because I was with you when we bought it. And you didn't get the warranty because the salesman was African American and you were intimidated. I'm going to sip of my Starbucks here. Hold on a second. My voice is getting pretty shot from doing these shows. But like that's like a little complaint. But I want to do a good podcast, and I don't want you guys to hear me clearing my throat the whole time. A lot of you guys listen to this with earbuds in. You just hear me going the whole time. Like I'm about to give a keynote speech. Now that I have all your attention, let's get to the good stuff. What can I tell you guys about? You know, I want to write another book, and the book I did want to write was about my conversion to Catholicism. I've told that story before on Pete Holmes' podcast, You Made It Weird. Podcast that I listen to. I really love Greg Proop's Smartest Man in the World podcast, but I'm warning you, he is the smartest man in the world. So if you think you're maybe of like average intelligence or below average intelligence, I wouldn't, I don't know, try it. But like Greg Proop's frame of reference and the amount of things he knows is staggering. And what's amazing about Greg Proop's, I'm giving love to other podcasts. I don't give a shit. There's enough pie for everybody. I never understood that. You know, I also don't understand why comics don't retweet each other's dates all the time. Think of all the power the comics in the United States would have if every time, like Ralphie May, I just retweeted one of his dates. Skylar Stone, good friend of mine, he'll retweet. Dean Del Rey, Daryl Wright. Like, we'll retweet each other's dates because we're friends. But I never understood why every comic doesn't retweet every other comic's stand-up dates, because you guys may not know this, but we are never in the same town excuse me, at the same time. There's like one town, Denver, where there's 2 comedy clubs in the same town. But even like Denver, Comedy Works, you know, there's like there's a club downtown, which is like really cool. It's I would say about 180 seats, and it's downstairs, and it's all like cool rock walls and stuff. It's really awesome. But if I play Denver, the room I'm playing is 40 minutes away, so we're really not in competition with each other. I don't understand why comics just don't retweet each other's dates all the time. We would probably make a lot more money because we would always be selling out all of our dates, and then we can go back to the club owners and go, hey, I need a raise. Remember when I sold out last time, November 13, 14, 15 at Stand Up Live? And I could say to Joel, the guy that runs Stand Up Live, yo, you got to pay me a little more money, homie. But we don't. It's weird. And it's one thing I learned in show business. There is like way enough pie for everybody. Like nobody is cutting into anybody else's action. So like I have no problem telling you, like Bill Burr's got a great podcast, Monday Morning Podcast. Well, that's why it's in the top 5. Way to go, Bill. Bill's doing what I'm doing right now. He's in the top 5. I'm breaking my balls getting like David Lee Roth, Perry Farrell, Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols, like the crazy Charlie Sheen, Jay Leno, and I'm like, I'm 28th. Maybe I should have no more guests and just keep doing this. Crack the top 10 like my man Billy Burr, my friend, the Ginger. I listen to Bill. I listen to Greg Proops. Smartest Man in the World podcast is my favorite by far. And what's weird about Greg Proops' podcast is he goes all over the world. Not the country. The world. Like, he will literally do a show in, like, Christchurch, New Zealand. And then, for some reason, you can hear it on the audio. It's a completely full room, wherever he is. If it's a bar or a comedy club or a theater, it's packed. And they know him, I guess, from, like, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Mostly. They know him from other things, obviously. But Iceland, Oslo, Norway. Like, he knows... I don't know what it is, but, like, he is the smartest man in the world. And he'll go on stage in, like, in these Nordic countries, or he'll be in, like, Amsterdam, and he'll just tell stories about the last time he was in Amsterdam with, like, local references. Like, that's amazing. As a comic, you want to go on stage and you want to do, like, 10 minutes about, like, local stuff. Like, if I play San Antonio Empire Theater November 8th, I'll say, I'll do jokes about, like, the Riverwalk. Or something. Like, I'll do a little something about the freeways and how they're cockamamie, and if you miss your exit, you got to drive 10 miles and get back and turn around and make 3 U-turns. But, like, to go to New Zealand and know that much about New Zealand, that's like the most impressive thing in the world. Of course, I love Adam Carolla of the Ace Man podcast. I got that app. Greg Proops has an app. And you can get my app. This More Stories podcast has an app, and it's free. And there's always like 25, I'm not sure the exact number, but there's always a whole bunch of episodes for free. And if you want back episodes, I think you unlock them for like $4. So you should get the app on your phone. That's what I do. I have my own app on my own phone, not because I'm a narcissistic asshole. I mean, I am a narcissist, and I am an egomaniac, but I like to listen to episodes and see what I could have done better. When I listen to old episodes of More Stories, I'm like, oh my God, I interrupt so much. It's horrible. So for all you people that email me at jmoore.com, I wish you would stop interrupting the guests so much. My message to you is, so do I. I hate it. It's the one thing I wish I could change about myself. Truly. When I was in junior high, that's how far back I was an interrupter. I used to get kicked out of class all the time because I couldn't keep my mouth shut. And on my bedroom door in my parents' house, my house as a kid, 23 Valley View Road, Verona, New Jersey, 07044, I wrote in red magic marker, "Don't talk." It didn't work. I still got thrown out of classes anyway. So yeah, I don't understand why comics like retweet each other's dates and stuff like that, but maybe this podcast, comics will start retweeting each other's dates. And any comic that gets wind of this episode, just text me where you're going to be, and I will gladly retweet wherever you're going to be, because we're never in the same city at the same time. Let's get paid, brothers. Let's break bread. It's like when Peyton Manning finally got like a huge contract with the Indianapolis Colts. They went to the running back, Edgerrin James. Edgerrin James, not putting it nicely, not like a Harvard grad. He's had a very hard life. And they asked Edgerrin James how he felt about Peyton Manning getting, like $80 million. And Edgerrin James go, "That's cool, man, but hey, let's not stop breaking bread now. Let's not stop breaking bread." People ask me a lot what podcast I listen to, so there, I just told you that. The other thing is, I told you guys I wanted to write another book, and people asked me, "Are you going to write another book?" I had gasping for airtime, and I had No Wonder My Parents Drank. But the problem with me writing books is I can only write about me. That's the narcissism and the egomania coming into play. Saturday Night Live is really just like, I've just really had to get like so deep down into my memory banks and pull stuff out. And I've always been a huge audiophile. And my 2 years on Saturday Night Live was the best music ever. And I don't care. You take any 2 years of that show, you will not top the 2 years I was on Saturday Night Live. I mean, my opening week, it was Nirvana. I mean, I just think about that. Like, your first week on the job, you show up on a Monday, you're not really sure what's going on, and then like on Thursday they go, Nirvana's downstairs rehearsing. You're like, oh, are they? And then I just like snuck out and I went down to Studio 8H, and there was like 8 people in the studio, because like, you know, you're not filming anything, they're just rehearsing for cameras and making sure the mic levels are right. And I got to see Nirvana do Heart-Shaped Box and Rape Me live with like 5 feet. I was 5 feet away. And Smashing Pumpkins week 3, Cypress Hill was week 2. So it was Nirvana, Cypress Hill, Smashing Pumpkins, like Smashing Pumpkins doing Cherub Rock. Like, it's just insane in an empty studio. And the one thing that really blew my mind about these bands was in soundcheck, they're screaming their faces off. Like, there's no, like, if I have to do a sound check, which I hate and I think it's absurd, like when you do corporate gigs, you just kind of have to do whatever they say because it's like a lot of money. So if they want you to come in a day early to do a sound check, you just go, you got it, whatever you need. But I'll just hit the stage and go, hey everybody, how are you? Boo! I'll like yell boo, and then I'll whisper, and then I'll say okay, and then I go back to my hotel. But like Nirvana's sound check is they do both songs like 3 times each. And like Kurt Cobain is like screaming "Rape Me" at the top of his lungs, and I'm like, bro, you're not gonna have anything left for the live show. And Billy Corgan's doing, you know, who wants honey, long as there's money. But he nailed it. They don't know how to do it any other way except full out, and that was impressive. So I wrote about Saturday Night Live. My first book, my second book was No Wonder My Parents Drank, and that was about having a kid. So, my third book, it would make sense, I would write something else that is about me. And what I really wanted to talk about was my conversion. What I really wanted to write about, like I thought would be a really awesome book, was my conversion to Catholicism. Because I found a really great church. I'm a Catholic. I converted to Catholicism, and everybody goes, oh, he did that because his wife. And like, no, I didn't. I did it because a lot of weird things happened in a row that I talk about on the Pete Holmes You Made It Weird podcast, and I could talk about it now, but there's other things I want to get to. But I go to St. Monica's Church in Santa Monica, so I don't even know if I'm a Catholic as much as I've been confirmed and all, but I don't know if I'm a Catholic as much as I'm a St. Monican. So my priests, when I first got to St. Monica's Church, they were all like really young guys. Father Willie was on the podcast. And, like, they can fight. They go to Krav Maga. And, like, I'll run on the beach and surf with Father Tim, who's, like, a 35-year-old guy. He's blonde. He's cool. He went to college. He had a girlfriend before he had his calling. And everybody, the girls in the parish call him Father What a Waste, because he's, like, a really good-looking guy. And I decided, I'm going to have a little Starbucks all on here. I decided to, like, break his chops. Because when I first came in to St. Monica's Church, they introduced me to Father Tim, because he was brand new too. And they're like, hey, you're brand new, he's brand new, you guys should hang out. And we did. Like, we ran on the beach, we surfed, and I actually broke my leg jogging with Father Tim. I think I've told this story on stage a few times, but I haven't told it in a long time. I'll tell it now. You know, when you go out to jog with your priest, my whole, like, Catholic experience are, like, old, fat, drunk Irish guys with, like, the big red bulbous nose, the gin blossoms all over the nose. Not the band. That would be amazing. If you had, like, a whole band on your nose. Hey, jealousy. No, gin blossoms is an expression for those red, like, dots and lines on your nose because you drink and you're hammered all the time. But here, Father Willie was, like, a really cool guy. And he had, he headed up the theater department for the church, and I was like, really? And they like travel all over the place and do plays. And then Father Tim, we agreed to go jog and surf. Like, we did cool stuff together. He was like 35 years old. And the first time I met Father Tim, I wanted to break his chops. I'm going to get to the breaking my leg story. And I said to Father Tim, we were talking about the Bible. And I said, you know, a lot of things in the Bible, if you interpret it literally, like, I don't know, it's like really hard to believe. Like, it's hard for me to believe with a person with a brain in my head that, like, Jonah actually lived in a whale's asshole for days and then he got like pooped out I probably didn't use those words with Father Tim. I was probably much, you know what? Father Tim's pretty cool. I probably said it just like that. And, like, there's a lot of stories in the Bible where I'm like, I'm not so sure. And I remember the one big thing when I broke Father Tim's jobs. He got moved. He's in East LA now because he speaks Spanish, and he's like a really cool guy. He's not at St. Monica's anymore. He got moved to like an East LA parish. I said to Father Tim, I said, you know, here's the hang-up I've always had with Christianity, and like born-again Christian people that interpret the Bible literally. And he goes, yeah, what's that, bro? And that's literally how he talks. Yeah, what's up, bro? I said, you know, John 3:16, I'm paraphrasing, I don't know by heart. He loved the world so much, he gave them his only son, and those who believe in his son shall have everlasting life. Like, basically, if you believe in Christ, you get into the kingdom of heaven, you live forever. And he said, yeah? He said, well, I have a really hard time with that. He said, why? I said, well, the parenthetical of that sentence is, if you don't believe in Christ as the Son of God, you don't get into heaven. That means every Jew is not getting into heaven. I don't know if you've seen an Orthodox Jewish person. I've seen them like at airports, like wrapping like strings and stuff and like bands around their arms and putting stuff on their head and blankets over their head to pray. They're not getting into heaven. That seems weird. Muslims, like, they're so devout. Muslims pray so much. Like, they get down on their hands and knees. They go to the mosque. They pray. They just put their heads on the floor. They're not getting into heaven because they don't believe in Christ as the Son of God. The Native Americans, Buddhists. What about the Buddhists? What about people that were born before Christ? Because Christ was born in like 7 or 8 AD. It's not 0 like you think. I know because the calendar's like BC and AD. He was actually born in like 6, 7, 8, 9 AD is the actual year that the King of Kings was born. I said, what about people born, BC? Like, they didn't know Christ was the Son of God. They didn't believe in Christ as the Son of God. What about the Native Americans? This is all what I laid on Father Tim. I go, what about Native Americans? Native Americans had no concept of the Christ. They worshipped the sun, the crops, and they were like a kind people. No one's getting into heaven except this tiny select group of people that think that Christ is the Son of God. That seems exclusionary to me. That seems like country clubist, elitist. And Father Tim just stared at me for like a second, and he goes, yeah, bro, I don't know. And I burst out laughing, and he goes, why are you laughing? I go, it's the first time like a person of power and authority ever just looked me in the eye and admitted, like, I'm not so sure of this either. But Father Tim and I made an agreement that we'd go on a journey together. Your algebra teachers, like, they had authority and power, and they would tell you, you're going to need algebra for the rest of your life. And the truth is, no, 99.9% of anybody that has ever taken algebra never has needed algebra again. Ever. Algebra teachers need algebra, and they're pissed about it. That's why they make sure you pay attention. You've never been at a job interview, and they go, all right, one last question. We asked this of all our applicants. What's 2A plus 2B? And you're like, well, I don't know. ABBA? And the guy rips up your resume and he's like, no, sorry. Here at Wendy's, we really need everybody to know algebra before they can get behind the counter and push buttons of pictures of food. So, I dug my church because at St. Monica's, because people were willing to like learn with me. It wasn't like, it's this way or not. It's either this way or you're wrong. Like, nobody ever told me I was wrong. They said, that's very interesting. Let's talk about it. So I dug the dialogue. And I remember during my RCIA classes, the conversation of hell came up. And my mom, when I was a kid, I asked her if she believed in hell. And she said she did not. And I was like, wow. Because you're taught, like, heaven and hell by everybody. And I said to my mom, like, why don't you believe in hell? And I remember, I'll never forget it. My mom was in the kitchen making food. And she put everything down, she turned, and she faced me, and she said, how could a forgiving God and a loving God make anybody spend eternity in hell? And I was like, wow, that was intense. During my RCIA classes, we were sitting there, and the topic of hell came up, and I told that story, and we were all just like kind of hanging out, talking about hell. Like, what do you think I think the Buddhists believe hell is your life replayed, but with the worst case scenario of all the decisions you ever made. Like, there's a whole bunch of different versions of hell, different religions, but I just don't think people are dying in a lake of fire because they don't believe in Christ. I had a problem with it. And then I'll never forget, Monsignor Torgerson came in, and like, he is, if you're Catholic, you know that Monsignor is like the boss. It is Hollywood. It's like Monsignor Torgerson at St. Monica's parish in Santa Monica. I have to get him on this podcast. He did like he married Tom Brady and Giselle. He did Chris Farley's funeral. He's like a big shot. He's cool, but he's like, he doesn't act it. He's a man of the Lord, you know. But he just came by like this RCIA class, and he stuck his head in. And I was sitting there with my wife, and my wife just got the stones to just ask Monsignor Torgerson. She goes, "Do you believe in hell?" Like, this is the guy, like, you got to keep in mind, like, these guys get their marching orders from the Vatican. And Monsignor Torgerson took his glasses off and rubbed his face for like 30 seconds. Like, it pained him. And then he looked at us. There's about 15 people in the class, and he said, "Oh, no, my God's too big for that. I need to believe that my God is too big for that." And I was like, wow, I don't think that's the company line there, Bell. But that, anyway, I'm completely going up on a tangent. That's why I love my church, because people talk like that. It's not my way or the highway. But the book I wanted to write was about my conversion to Catholicism and my relationship with Father Willie and Father Tim and Monsignor Torgerson, and I wanted to call it A Priest and a Comic Walk Into a Bar. But I talked to 3 publishing houses, and they said, "Yeah, I don't think that's going to sell." So, I got to be honest with you, writing a book is easy, but, just sitting down to write is impossible. I think it was Gertrude Stein. Gertrude Stein said it takes a heap of loafing to write a book, and she's right. Before you actually sit down to write, when you know what you're going to write, you'll walk the dog, you'll go in the garage and smoke, you'll just do anything to keep from sitting in that chair. But then once you're in the chair typing, it's not hard. I did not find it was hard. And again, the Saturday Night Live book, I just had to remember stuff. And I would put on, if I was talking about a certain week of the show, I would look at who the musical guest was, and I would put on that album when I was writing the book, just get me in the mind frame. And I would just kind of go all the way back in my head, and I would write the book to that music. So I was going to write about a priest and a comic walk into a bar, and that got kiboshed. So basically, even one publishing house going, "Yeah, we don't think so." You're like, all right, fuck that. And then I was thinking about writing a book about your show business and being in show business, but you really look like a douche. Hold on, listen to these commercials real quick. I'll be right back. I'm going to tell you this. It's important. Listen to these guys.
All you ladies and gents out there enjoying the smooth sounds of the interwebs radio, Geico's got a special dedication to make. This one goes out to the inventors of the mouse. Because of you and your rodent-inspired design, people can click on over to Geico.com to pay their bills, manage their claims, and live lives of pure savings. Mouse Masters, you've clicked your way into our hearts for good. Enjoy this next song. It's going out to you. Geico, 15 minutes could save you hundreds on car insurance.
Jay Mohr, your leader, is here telling you to choose Shell V-Power Premium Gasoline. It removes an average of 60% of performance-robbing gunk on intake valves left by low-quality premium gasolines, and it starts with your very first tank. Choose Shell V-Power today. Let the excitement begin. Getting your mailing and shipping done can seem like a no-win situation. Going to the post office takes up very valuable time. Leasing a postage meter, it's expensive. Multi-year commitments, hidden fees. Luckily, I know a better way. Stamps.com. With Stamps.com, buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter or package right from your desk using your own computer and printer. Even get special postage discounts that you can't get at the post office. Plus, Stamps.com is more powerful than a postage meter at just a fraction of the cost. You can save up to 80% compared to a postage meter, and you will avoid those time-consuming trips to the post office. I use Stamps.com for more stories for J Mohr Sports. I want you to use Stamps.com. Right now, use my last name, Mohr, M-O-H-R, for this special offer. It's a no-risk trial, $110 bonus offer. That includes a digital scale and up to $55 free postage. Go to Stamps.com before you do anything else. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in my last name, Mohr. Stamps.com. Enter Mohr.
All right. I was going to write about like just show business, and I've tried it before, and to terrible results. I was up in Canada doing Are We There Yet with Ice Cube. I was only there like 5 days. Great gig. It was like $75,000. No, I was there 4 days. And it was like $75,000. They put you up in a hotel. Just insane work. Easy. So easy. Any actor that complains is an absolute asshole. It's the only job when you show up, they let you go lay down. They give you breakfast and go, it'll be about an hour. Why don't you go lay down? Prostitute and actor, which I guess are kind of synonymous. So we were in Vancouver, and we're doing the Ice Cube movie, Are We There Yet? And like, I really just played his friend. And I was only there 4 days, and they just banged out all my stuff in like 4 days. It was easy. And I remember I got grass on the set. A movie set, you can always find grass, like on a camera truck. One of the trucks, like, I don't know if you've ever driven by like a movie set, but there's like 7 or 8 like 18-wheelers with like a whole bunch of like stuff, whether it's like cameras, lights, clothing. One of those 18-wheeler trucks, there is a ton of reefer. Usually it's the one where everybody's playing Halo at lunchtime instead of napping. So I remember I went up to this guy. It was the camera truck where they keep all the lenses and stuff. And I said, "Hey man, do you guys have any grass?" He goes, "Yeah, you need some grass?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." He goes, "I'll have it for you after lunch." I said, "Okay, cool." It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I go back to the camera truck, and the guy hands me a film canister, and then he put like a sticker on it on the side, like if you were gonna write like a "Hello, my name is" sticker that you would like put on your body at a party. And on it he wrote "Pot for J Mohr." It's like, okay, I guess we're not hiding anything in Vancouver. So I went back to my hotel room that night, and it was the Sutton Place Hotel in Vancouver, and I smoked some pot, but I mean, I got wrecked. I was nuts. I mean, I was so fucking high. I was high, and I thought, oh my god, when you get like weird, like manic. I get like manic if I smoke pot. I haven't smoked in like 4 years, but when I did smoke pot, I didn't mellow out. I got nuts and hyper. Like I would clean the whole house, go shopping. I'd have like weird manic ideas, and I was like, I'm gonna write a book right now. And I'm like, I'm on a movie set. Nobody's ever written a book. Like, here I am on a movie set. This is how it works. This is what time you come in. This is when you get makeup put on. Like, I'm going to go step by how you get a mic put on you. Like, I'm going to do all of that. And I opened up my computer, and I was so high. And those of you that are like pot smokers, which I think on this podcast is about 65%, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, I start to write with the music in the background, but I couldn't write properly. I couldn't spell Canada. I kept writing Canada, and I'm like, man, this music is fucking me up. It wasn't the fact that I was so high I couldn't spell my own middle name, let alone Canada. It was the fact that the music was wrong. I had to get in the right music, and then I put on The Doors Live, which is a great album, by the way, if you don't have it. Hey, Philadelphia, do you feel alright? And they open with Who Do You Love? I put that on. I was like, oh, this sucks. This is terrible. And I think I settled on Rhinoceros? I don't know. I forget the album I settled on. Nick Drake. I was listening to Nick Drake. Like, I need something really mellow. And I'm just like, I'm in Vancouver. I'm doing a movie with Ice Cube. And I wrote for 3 hours about how great Ice Cube was and the process of, how do you get the movie, getting there, negotiations. So like for 3 hours, I'm just typing away, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like in a movie, when a guy's on a roll, and then like in the old movies when you gotta type on a typewriter, and at the very end the guy like pulls the paper out and goes zing, like take this down to the editorial room. So then I saved it all up, and the next day I had about a noon call. I had to be on set at noon. Usually they pick you up like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. So I slept late. They picked me up at about 11 o'clock to be there at noon. I go through hair, I go through makeup, I get all my clothes put on. They come in, they put a microphone, they attach the microphone to my clothes. And I'm like, all right, now I'm going to talk about being in my trailer in this like motor home that I'm in. Motor home is a nice word. It's basically an outhouse, and they always have like Indian art. My wife talked about that when she was on the podcast. Every actor outhouse that we sit in, it's like one couch of, I'll put vanity in quotes, vanity mirror, and then there's a toilet with like a little curtain you pull. So like if anybody's in there, they could hear you like farting and shitting and pissing. But there is always framed drawings of like a teepee or like a squaw at like a river, or sometimes just a pair of moccasins. It's always Native American themed art. It's amazing. So I'm in my outhouse, but it wasn't an outhouse. That's the thing. On this movie, on Are We There Yet? It was huge. It was like a giant motorhome with like a bedroom. It was amazing. And I wanted to type about that. And I opened up my computer and I went back to the file because keep in mind, I typed for like 3 hours I wrote last night. Like I already got like 4 chapters done. It was great. And I opened it up and it was literally one paragraph and it was all underlined red, spell check. Like Canada was spelled wrong. I spelled Ice Cube with like an S and a K. I was a mess. But I would still like to write a book about show business or like how to be happy in life. But it is like a giant douche move. But you know what? I will say this. Whenever I do interviews for shows, every once in a while you get asked the question like, what was your big break? Hold on, I'm going to take a sip of this beautiful Starbucks Red Eye. Starbucks, why don't you sponsor me? Jesus. Delish. Red Eye, by the way, is coffee and they put a shot of espresso in it. 2 shots of espresso is called a black eye. But I can never order that because I don't feel comfortable walking into a Starbucks and going, hey, can I get a black eye? What if there's like 5 black guys behind the counter? And I just go, hey, I'm in kind of a hurry. Could you give me a black eye? I gotta go. Oh, you guys are like this. Starbucks insider trading secrets. 3 shots. I don't know what it's called by the public, but behind the counter at Starbucks, they call it a JFK. That's true. And if you're moaning right now, kiss my ass. I didn't make it up. That's what they call it at Starbucks. But I'll get asked a lot, like, hey, what was your big break? And I always, Saturday Night Live obviously is a huge break. It's the biggest. Because if you get on Saturday Night Live, it's your credit forever. Forever. It's like being governor. Like if you were governor in the 50s or in the 60s, if you're like a governor, let's say you're the governor of Arizona in like 1960. Like in 2014, you go to like some banquet and they introduce you. They're saying, hey, this is Governor so-and-so. Like it never gets taken. Like ex-presidents. Nobody goes like, hi, Mr. Clinton. It's president. And that's the thing about Saturday Night Live. Like, I did 21 Tonight shows, and you always promote, like whatever date you're doing there, whatever you're there to promote. Like if you go like, hey, my next guest, Jay Leno will say, my next guest has a movie coming out. It's called Are We There Yet? With him and Ice Cube, and also you may recognize him. He was a cast member on Saturday Night Live. Like it never leaves, in a great way. So obviously Saturday Night Live is like the biggest break. Jerry Maguire is like the biggest break in the world. Gary Unmarried, biggest break in the world. Right now, doing my own radio show. If you listen to my podcast and you don't know my radio show, you don't really have to be into sports talk. There's a website, a fan site that a great guy, Steve in Houston, put together. It's called jmoresports.com. And if you click the affiliates list, no matter what town you're in, there's like well over 150 affiliates. but you can listen in your town, and we have like a great time. But like, you know, that's a huge break. At first, I was on 9 to noon, and I would pick my 3-year-old up in preschool at 12:30. And I remember my 3-year-old running across the playground yelling, "Daddy!" And I thought to myself, oh, like this is making it. This is success. Like, yeah, I'm making radio money. It's not, you're not making $75,000 for 4 days in an Ice Cube movie. Like, that's crazy. Gary, I'm Married money is like off the charts. It's really like, it's crazy the amount of money you get on a sitcom. But, you know, even though you're making such less money, as a parent, you're present. So you go, oh, this is kind of the biggest break. And also because of my radio show, I can say, hey, San Antonio, you know, Empire Theater, November 8th. And like the radio show is huge in San Antonio and El Paso, November 6th, November 15th, Stand Up Live, Arizona. I say that on the radio, and people come out and they pack these clubs and these theaters. So like that's a huge break. So I guess my short answer to the long run-up is, if you have one big break, something's not right. You know, like Larry from Three's Company, he had one big break. Or like Balky. Balky had one big break. Gary Coleman, one big break. Jesus Jones, right here, right now. That song's going to be stuck in your head all day. I'm going to close the podcast with it. What do you think about that? So you have Jesus Jones stuck in your head all day. Good name for a band. But like they had one big break. So you don't want one big break. I think if you do showbiz right, when it's all said and done, I think on your deathbed, I think you can look back and you have like 26 big breaks, 15 minimum. I mean, when I was, the first time I did stand-up, that's a huge break. I was 16 years old. I went up in a comedy club in a basement, and I performed for other 16-year-olds. Like that, what a big break that is, that got brought to my attention. And then my first job ever was doing MTV's Lip Service, which is like a lip sync game show on MTV. And you know what? That's a big break. I got to go to Daytona. I got to go to like MTV Spring Break. I had like a great time. I was making a living. I wasn't like rich. You know what? I was rich because I was 18. I was like, I can't believe I'm making, you know, like $1,000 a week. Like that's as Bootsy Collins said when he was on the podcast. I mean, that is $1 million. So like that's a huge break. So there's 3 right there. Saturday Night Live 4, Jerry Maguire 5. You know what? There's women listening to this. They know me from Picture Perfect. But huge break. Leading man. You got to have a lot of big breaks. So that's the answer to that question. Or as Mills Lane would say, that's how you know what the answer to that question is. I'm pulling up to the comedy club right now. So I'm going to wrap this up. I wish I had like more funny stuff. But this is kind of cool. Just doing it myself and letting you guys... Oh, Pay It Forward was a really fun movie. You know what's interesting about the movie? You're like, wow, he remembered that? He said that like in minute 2. Pay It Forward, I auditioned for Mimi Leader, was the director, but she was always a casting director, which is weird because I've done 2 movies where a casting director became the director. 200 Cigarettes was directed by Risa Raymond Garcia, and she was really great director. And she had one of the best lines about me ever. I think it was an assistant director. We were on the streets of Manhattan. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. There was fake snow. It was a really complicated shot. And some guy came up to talk to me, and he didn't think I was listening, and he started to raise his voice. And then Risa Raymond Garcia, the director, she goes, he has it. He knows. And the guy goes, I don't think he does know. And then Risa Raymond Garcia goes, let me tell you something about Jay Mohr. Deceptively attentive. I thought that was great. Because I guess a lot of times it does look like I'm completely tuning you out, but I am listening. Because I guess that's what comics do. Pay It Forward was Mimi Leader. And aside from the first scene I have in the movie where I give the guy gives me his car, every single thing I do in Pay It Forward could have been taken out of the movie. So you could have like literally just shown like a newspaper headline with like whatever dialogue I had. You could have just had like a spinning newspaper. Like, the movement has reached all the way to Los Angeles. Extra. But they didn't cut it out. They kept everything in, and I became really good friends with Kevin Spacey on that movie. So I'm thrilled about it. Kevin Spacey and I went to Buddy Hackett's house one night. At about 2 o'clock in the morning, we just knocked on his door. And Buddy Hackett